When you write a song, you'll often use chords from a particular key. But did you know that you're free to use any chords that you like? Chords from outside of a key can be called many things, including chromatic chords, modal mixture, or borrowed chords. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 borrowed chords that you can use in your major key chord progressions to turn them into epic songs. Welcome in, my name is Matt, and I create videos that help everyone to write songs. In making hundreds of YouTube videos, I've learned that lots of people want something simple to transform their chord progressions. And the use of a few select borrowed chords can be just what you'll need for finding this new sound. To begin, you need to understand where chords in a key come from. A key is related to a musical scale. All of the notes for a song in a particular key will come from this scale. For example, a song in the key of C major will use notes from the C major scale. This also includes the chords in a key. These are created by stacking thirds. That is, starting on a note from the scale, skipping a note, and then skipping another note. This leaves you with 3 notes per chord. Therefore, these chords are also known as triads. You can see this process on screen for the C major key. The end result of this process are 7 diatonic chords to use in a key. Each chord has a Roman numeral assigned to it. These Roman numerals show you the function of each chord. Major chords have an uppercase Roman numeral, and minor chords a lowercase Roman numeral. The small circle is for the diminished chord. There's nothing wrong with this approach, and its simplicity can help you, particularly when starting out with songwriting. But what if you want something a little different or more interesting? This introduces the idea of borrowed chords. As the name suggests, borrowed chords are temporarily taken from another key and used within the existing key of a song. Technically, you can use any chords from any key that you like, but the most common approach you'll encounter, and the simplest to understand, is borrowing chords from parallel keys. Parallel keys share a tonic note. That is the first note in a scale, the note which a scale or key is named after. For example, the C major key is a parallel key of the C natural minor key, and vice versa. Another general rule is to just use a single borrowed chord at a time. If you start playing multiple borrowed chords after each other, it can begin to disrupt the tonal center of the song, which may not be a sound that you are aiming for. I will, however, show you 2 powerful exceptions to this rule later on in the video, so stick around for that. The first borrowed chord I'm going to show you now is the flat 3 chord. In the key of C major, the 3 chord is E minor. If you take the root note of this chord, which is E, and drop it by half a step, you have E flat. If you construct a major triad from this note, then you create a flat 3 chord. In this example, it's E flat major. This flat 3 chord is the 3rd chord in natural minor keys. So if you use it in a parallel major key, as I'm showing you here, then it is considered a borrowed chord. It's worth knowing that this chord can also be borrowed from the parallel Dorian and Phrygian modes. The flat 3 chord can provide some unexpected power in major key chord progressions. This is best demonstrated with its simplest use, alternating between the 1 chord and the flat 3. This is a common progression, found in a variety of genres. Please note that all examples will be in the key of C major. Another common use of the flat 3 chord in major keys is with the 4 chord. For example, I'll return to the flat 3 later. For now, let's move on to the next borrowed chord, flat 6. I'll take the same approach as before to find the flat 6. In a key of C major, the 6th chord is A minor. If you take the root note of this chord, which is A, and drop it by a half step, you have A flat. If you construct a major triad from this note, then you create a flat 6 chord. In this example, it's A flat major. This flat 6 chord is the 6th chord in natural minor keys, so if you use it in the parallel major key, as I'm showing you here, then it is considered a borrowed chord. The flat 6 chord can also be borrowed from the parallel Phrygian and Locrian modes. Let's have a listen to the epic nature of the flat 6 when played with the 1 chord. The flat 6 brings in 2 notes from outside of the key, which really makes it stand out. In the C major key examples, I've been using the flat 6 chord A flat major, which is constructed with the notes A flat, C and E flat. So these 2 standout notes are A flat and E flat. Another use for the flat 6 chord is as a predominant chord. That means in major keys, it will be played before the 5 chord, which then typically returns to the 1 chord. For example, Let's now look at one more chord, the flat 7. If you've been following along so far, you will likely have guessed that the flat 7 is the 7th chord from minor keys, and all you have to do to construct it is to drop the root note of the 7 diminished chord by half a step, and then construct a major triad from this new root. So in the key of C major, this would make the flat 7 chord B flat major. The flat 7 chord can also be borrowed from parallel, Dorian and Mixolydian modes. Flat 7 chords don't feel very alien to major keys. That's because they only introduce a single note from outside of the key. They are also widely used, so your ear is familiar with the sound that they create. Let's take the same approach as with the other borrowed chords and simply pair it with the 1 chord to begin. This is a common technique as the flat 7 resolves nicely up to the 1 chord, providing a confident and optimistic sound. If you want to add a bit more interest and tension to this flat 7 chord, you can play it as a dominant 7th. Listen to the different flavour this resolution has with the 1 chord compared to the previous example. I said earlier on in the video that you want to try and use just one borrowed chord at a time to maintain the tonal centre of your progressions. But now I'm going to look at a few popular exceptions to this rule. The most widely shared example of this is probably the Mario Cadence. If you've ever played one of the Super Mario Bros. Games, then you will have likely heard this before. It's simple to play and utilises 2 of the borrowed chords I've already shown you, flat 6, flat 7 and 1. You're most likely to find this used after the 5 chord, maybe for a big finale that delays the 1 tonic chord. Here's how that might look on the guitar, again in the key of C major. There's one more interesting way to use these borrowed chords, and it relates to another video I've made on the channel. It's easy to visualise with the circle of fifths. Now don't panic if this strikes fear into your heart, it's a really simple idea to follow. I'm using the key of C major, so the 1 tonic chord is our home base at the top of the circle. You'll see to the left hand side of the circle are A flat, E flat and B flat. These are the flat 6, flat 3 and flat 7 chords respectively. So all I'm going to do is start on A flat and work around the circle towards C. This ultimately gives you a flat 6, flat 3, flat 7, 4, 1 progression. This is a pleasing way to work towards the tonic 1 chord. Working around the circle like this is known as back cycling. You can jump on this process at any point. You don't have to start with flat 6. This was a popular sound in 60s and 70s rock and soul music. Here's how this could look in the key of C major. I'll establish the key with a simple 1, 6, 4, 5 progression. Then I'll jump into the full back cycle to take you back around to the 1 chord, C major. Sometimes the hardest thing with songwriting can be getting started. The solution to this is just to keep it simple. Major key chord progressions are a great starting point which you can learn all about in this video here, so check that out and I'll see you over there.